Hello, Mynoo. Good evening.
Good evening.
Today, all the playlist is very, very good. I'll be starting, but I'm just completing my August one Beyond Meditation, which Anushri had sent.
Okay.
And today I could understand. I had sent a message also. Today
Yes,
I
I
could,
read it.
yeah. I was just listening to Gurudev Satsang, and there I understood the meaning of. He has not used that word, but from the whatever gist I get, why that question always used to wonder me. Why beyond meditation name you have given? Only meditation, but why beyond? So meditation is a bridge to go to the soul level,
Yeah.
and that's why it's a bridge only. All that Shubh Kriya, what you do is the bridge. You
Yes.
have to do that, but then only you have to, then you just forget it, we go beyond that. There
Mm,
is no I, just, isn't it? Am I right?
yes, totally. And that's where that harmony takes place,
Yeah.
you know, and that allows the soul being to
Hmm.
feel really uplifted and
Yeah.
amplified through the human form.
Yeah. And at that time, there is no I'm soul, no, there is no I there. It's
Yes.
only that feeling that it's difficult to express, but it's
Mm,
just that feeling is there.
yes.
It's a different feeling, but it takes a lot of time, no?
Yes.
That I just interferes so many times. The mind always interferes.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that, Ashaji.
Yeah. I had asked one question also. If you
Yeah,
are,
I'll bring you in a moment.
yeah.
I'll bring you in. Okay, welcome everyone for joining us here. It's a very specific festival time in Mumbai, and I just landed like literally less than an hour ago. So here I am, and it's raining so hard. It's very refreshing to experience that rain. And I'm very glad that I chose to come straight to the office of one of the people that is, he's one of the founding members of the Federation 100, the business collective, and using his offices to do this particular session so that I could be here in time and have good internet connection. So here I am. It's a very special day, very special time. And we are literally at that last leg of the countdown to the pipeline beginning on the 11th of September. So the special date today is primarily because it is a celebration of what is termed as the New Year in Kerala. It's a festival called Onam. And there are stories behind festivals, and they are endearing, and they are uplifting, and they are inspiring. And I always make it a point to tune into the energy of what is special about this particular day. And what's special about this particular day is it's a day where um, where the experience is one of opulence. Um, and opulence that is presenced by a cumulative energy force that gets created when you bring together, they're called Navratan. They are like 9 semi-precious gems that come together in a piece of jewelry. So, it's literally like it's the opulence that gets anchored from these 9 gems. Each one has the power of a different color and represents a different crystal, and therefore carries with it a different wisdom. All of that opulence comes together, and it's amplified magnificently. That's the energy that we are in today. That's the energy that those of you in the US are joining in. You're stepping into that energy. That's the vibe that's there. So you have an opportunity to really utilize this vibe by looking at where in your life would you love to harness this energy of opulence, of the power and the wisdom of these 9 gems that can be amplified magnificently, where would you apply that the gift of that energy? Which area of your life would you apply it to? Is there somewhere at work? Is there a particular project? Is there a particular situation in life that you would love to be amplified magnificently, um, and powered up by these 9 semi-precious gems? So use this Ask Me Anything as a way of asking questions that definitely support you in utilizing the energy of the day itself. So on this particular day, in Kerala, they serve a divine meal. It's a vegetarian meal mostly, and it's served on a banana leaf, and it's often a very large banana leaf. That is used, and they make all of these variety of dishes. But there's a very particular significance of the kind of dishes that are made in a sadhya. It's called a sadhya. They are dishes that invoke, activate, and amplify all of your sensory organs, all of them. So you have certain dishes that are there, and they're all served in like minuscule little quantities, so that some of the dishes are just there and they delight you just by the way you look at it. Some have a very flavorful, have got a powerful fragrance, and there are all the different tastes, sweet, bitter, sort of like tasteless, sour, all of those are there. And it feels really good sharing this meal. The way it is cooked, it's cooked amidst tremendous prayer. And the vibe of this particular festival, like I said, is opulence of the 9 jewels, amplified magnificently. And that is what lands on your plate. So wherever you are, you may not have a banana leaf, and you may have a banana leaf. I'll talk a little bit about the significance of it, because one of the questions that was asked was about this, why a banana leaf? Serve yourself, indulge yourself, reward yourself with all of these different tastes on your plate. It's a combination of raw, it's a combination of cooked, it's a combination of runny, it's a combination of finger foods, a whole variety of them. And literally it looks like, I think I shared a photograph of a meal that was prepared for us last year, because today I was flying, so I haven't enjoyed the sadhya experience today. But last year, a friend of mine actually did prepare that meal, and that was a photograph of what was prepared. She had 54 different dishes that she'd made herself. So it's quite special. The key thing is the vibe of this festival is opulence of the 9 gems amplified magnificently. That's the vibe that you're stepping into. That's the vibe that you are present to, that you are going to be taking into your sleep here in India. And the rest of you will be awake with it for quite a long time before you go to sleep. So use the awake and asleep pearl of wisdom analogy and really leverage it. Since we are talking about Onam, and a question was asked about the banana leaf. I think there's a banana leaf practice in Southeast Asia, particularly, and I very rarely talk about religion, but I have seen this in the Hindus in Southeast Asia. And I lived in Bali in Indonesia for a long time, and there also we had bamboo plates, and we would often get the leaf from the farm that we had, and it would be a banana leaf, and it would be lined up, and that's how food would be served. There is a layer, there's a layer that is there just underneath the top layer of the leaf. People often talk about the top layer of the leaf, but really you do wipe the top layer of the leaf. So it isn't that it isn't what's on the top of the leaf. It literally is something that that is there just underneath the top layer, which is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and antiparasitical. So it's like a natural antibacterial that you're having. It's a plate that is a plate which is anti-inflammatory as well. So it's very, 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 very special and powerful that that it is used in this way. It sometimes feels very odd, at least we had a plate. We had the local Balinese women in Bali make up these, they were basket-like plates made of bamboo, but they had, holes in them, and you lined them up with a banana leaf, so the holes disappeared, and that's what you served your food in. So I could have 100 people for a meal at my place, and lo and behold, these bamboo baskets would come up, and there was always banana leaf around to suddenly have crockery and cutlery for all these people. So that's it. That's really what I know of the banana leaf usage. In the South, they serve it on an actual leaf. There is nothing underneath it. It's an actual leaf. So it's quite interesting when you serve something which is runny, like a dal or a rasam or something, or a soup-like thing. It rolls like water, flows across the leaf. So you have to use your hand to bring it together. That's the activation movement. That activates the layer underneath. So when we ate in Bali on the banana leaf, we would always encourage people to go ahead and use their fingers to eat rather than, our bamboo spoons to eat. So lots of interesting things that our ancestors had already thought about. So with that having been said, I'm going to open it up for questions. And Ashaji, will begin with your question. If you have got questions that you want to ask, always a good idea to put them in the chat so they keep building up. And Anushri will keep track of it. Don't be shy. Any type of questions go. It could be personal. It could be work-related, anything at all. It really is, where the stand I have is that, anything and everything is possible and available to us with joy, ease, grace, omnipresent. And when a festival like this comes around, where the opulence of the power of the 9 gems is amplified magnificently, and we are building up to a pipeline coming up, having joy, ease, and grace omnipresent at a conscious level enables whatever occurs and whatever unfolds to unfold with joy, ease, and grace. So that's a stand I have. You can also raise your hand. So we'll begin with Ashaji, and Anushri, you will go ahead and bring people in as they ask the questions so that they share the spotlight with me. And Ashaji, your question is about presencing presence. So
yes, yeah.
I will let you describe it and come on in.
You know my question, right? What does it mean? I have understood this way that present in presence means to be aware of your soul level all the time. Just now I'm talking to you, but I'm just observer. There's something in me, within me, with the observer, and my speech is going on, my senses are working, my mind is working. So that presence in presence, isn't it? But now how to keep it 24/7?
Yes. So let me first share presencing presence, okay? And if you can just readjust your phone so we can see your full face.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's great. Yes. So presencing your presence. We can get very deeply spiritual about it, and it is actually a very deeply spiritual experience. And I want to talk about it from a conscious level. Okay. So from a conscious level, when I say presence your presence, and that whole awake piece is that when you are connected, you don't feel, there are no thoughts going on in your mind. You're there with someone, they are talking, and you are there. You're just simply there, and your mind isn't thinking about what to respond. You're able to just be there and receive them. To me, there you are presencing your presence. So really what presencing your presence does is it puts you in a very powerful centered state where you count, that you are worthy. From that space, you are receiving the other person. So they know they count and they feel really received. They feel they belong. So hence the experience of presencing your presence with anyone becomes a very fulfilling and a nurturing one for you and for the other person. You don't have to say anything. You simply be.
Yeah, I understand. You become only a listener, good listener.
A receive. There are different
Receiver.
ways in which we can listen. You can listen to understand. You can listen to clear. Where someone is really upset and they are venting. You don't want to receive that venting or upset, but they do want to be heard. So you listen, holding the intention that by them sharing it with me, it will clear. There are sometimes you listen to receive. When you are presencing your presence and you are listening, you're listening to receive.
Yes.
Okay. So you literally are one with your soul presence. But I'm not bringing the soul out so much in my answer to you, because when I say presencing your presence is what makes you feel awake, because I want your conscious mind very engaged without wanting to react or respond.
Yeah.
And thank you for asking. This is a deep question.
Yeah.
And it is something that will transform every area of your life.
Yeah.
Every area of your life. Just imagine, think about it, making love to your lover.
Yeah.
Half the time our mind is not there.
Yes.
Either somebody's got a shopping list going on, or somebody's thinking, if only this person does this. If you just presence your presence, everything just falls into place.
Right.
And think about it, connecting with your grandchild, or connecting, having dinner with your family.
Yeah.
And you are there.
Yes.
Not feeling you have to react or respond. Think about having a difficult conversation with a complaining customer, or an employee who's not been performing very well, and you're taking them up. You're going to reprimand them, but you're doing it presencing your presence. Guilt disappears. Fear disappears. You speak, you are received. The person does not feel attacked, they actually receive you. When they respond, you also receive them. And the solution that comes up is a co-creation automatically.
So here, suppose if I have something to tell somebody, and before telling, I have some fear that whether this person will take it properly or not. So that time, what shall I do?
Yes, it's a good question also. I'm just going to remove WhatsApp, close it down. Okay, so when you have fear, see, that is in you, right? You don't know where the other person is. Right. So often what happens is whatever we feel, we immediately project it to the other person. They don't even have it, but we send that vibration to them and they start thinking about it. The most important thing is, when you are presencing your presence, it's not always about the other person. It is also presencing your presence to yourself. Yeah. Right. So you are now presencing your presence and you're saying, I feel fear. Whether or not this person will take it, or whether or not this person will react. Yeah. Okay. Acknowledge. Use the tool of acknowledgement. Acknowledge and keep acknowledging it. Just keep acknowledging until there's nothing left to acknowledge. Where do I feel this fear? Is there something else that lies underneath that fear? You're not going to fix it. You're not doing it for fixing it. You're only doing it because you are present to your presence. You know, presence is disturbed by fear. And you're just using acknowledgement so that that fear automatically disappears and you can go have the conversation.
Yeah. Does it take long time to get removed of the fear?
It really doesn't. The thing is that we don't do it, you know.
Yeah.
We've got multiple things. Oh, you know, I'll deal with that. Fear lag raha hai. I'll do it before I have the conversation. Why? You've picked up fear now. Just take that extra 2 minutes or extra 3 minutes. It really doesn't take that much. You know, it's very surprising. It's very surprising the amount of effectiveness that you have. When you just take that little bit of time when you see it, use the tool of acknowledgement. No process, no practice, nothing. You're just acknowledging until there's nothing left to acknowledge. You declare, I unconditionally accept what is. I'm going to go take this action when it's appropriate time.
Yeah. So when you acknowledge it, that time the thought comes that there is something within me which is fearless always, timeless, boundless, right?
Yeah,
so
you
that it's
connecting. Yeah. The main thing that acknowledgement does, see, I always talk about these tools and they're so effective and so easy to implement by everybody. Right. You don't have to understand my English. You can be anywhere. If it can be explained to you, you can do it, right? Because my focus is on getting you to switch back on where you understand you are worthy. So you're reclaiming dignity. Yes. That's what happens when you take the time to acknowledge how you feel and you keep going down the layers of what you're experiencing, and then you declare, I choose unconditionally to accept what is. You've acknowledged yourself, you're feeling worthy, you've exercised your choice, you actually can move forward.
Yeah. Thank you. Last Thursday, the question I asked about somebody, my relative, and it so happened I went to her, and I was talking about the B book and about you, and she had it 5 years back. 5 years back, I had given, so she just asked somebody to take it out from the shop left, and I told her that you start reading it. Yesterday, I told her that you start reading it. And then she wanted to meet you personally. So whenever she's in Bombay, I will try. Are you in Bombay now, by the way?
I am in Bombay, but I leave early morning tomorrow for Pune. But I'll be back. I'm here for a long stretch of time in India.
You please let me know when you come.
I will. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Anushri, you will tell me who is next.
Yes, next is Minaji. I'm just...
Okay.
Namaste.
Oh my God. You're in a wonderful, wonderful primary school of spiritual upliftment. How exciting. Okay, Akashic reading, mandalas, druids, nebula, earth crystals. Akashic readings. I'm just going to say in summary, that the Akashic reading basically, and then I'm going to answer your question. I'm not answering a question yet, but I will answer it in a moment. So there is something that the Akashic readers talk about, which is every one of us that is born. Our entire life is already predicted and it already exists. And Akashic readers are able to tap into the energy vortex of us, of each one of us, and are able to read it. Now in India, I know that there are certain places where they have these things written up in a papyrus and they're able to pull it out. This is the energetic papyrus equivalent, Meenaji. that the Akashic readers are able to tap into. So each one of us we have our physical body and we have our spiritual presence that is there. And there are many layers in between, taking us from our physical self to our higher self. Okay. That entire space is called our field. So an Akashic reader can actually tap into our field of the field, which is very focused at a higher self level, because that is where our entire what is going to occur is written up. So they say. Here's what I have seen, though, that what is written in the Akashic records are crossroad moments. So you will get to a particular milestone, and if you choose a crossroad, and if you choose right, this will happen. If you choose left, that will happen. The Akashic readers are not able to say what choice you will make. That the freedom of that choice is still yours. But what will occur when you choose one over the other, that is written. Okay, so it's to me, it's fascinating, and you don't have to have all that. You can really construct and build your life the way it is. Where I operate from, I don't have to have my field read by anybody. If I don't want to, I can just shut it off. I don't do it because it's fine if people can read it, but I can. And so can you. You can live your life of your choices, and ultimately you do. That's why when I hear predictions, like my horoscope said that the end of my life was at the age of 49. And yeah, I did actually. That Mynoo died at the age of 49, and the Mynoo that was rebirth, that emerged, was a completely different person. But I chose that shift, that level of dramatic shift to occur. So the main thing to remember for everyone is it's entertaining and it's interesting and it's informative to hear these predictions and know that you are the master. You are the driver of your life. It will be a function of your choices. Everything supports you, should you choose for it to support you. And you don't have to get confused about it. Just know, okay, this input, that input, that input, that input, ultimately I make my choice. Mandalas. So these mandalas are, it's like, it's a symmetrical construction. Okay, they used to be circular. Mandalas were often regarded as circular, and there were various layers in those circles, but it was all within a particular circle. And so the patterns in a mandala concentrate certain types of energy from the cosmos. So you can create a mandala and the mandala will hold an intention. And that intention, because the mandala patterns are such that they become a magnetic pull for cosmic energies towards the intention that the mandala is directed at. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is the primary cosmic shape, cosmic geometry shape for this next era is a triangle. So it's a collection, it's triangle and triangle, collections of triangles and stuff. It's not necessarily a circle. So just be aware of that if you've created mandalas which are circular, then they are powerful, yes, but it's a triangle that really is the one that's going to amplify what it is that you choose to focus your mandala on. Druids are amazing healers. They are healers who are usually one with nature. They are medicine men and women. And really, a true druid can tune into the medicine quality of the plants and the soil and various other ingredients that come together to provide a healing solution in a full spectrum way. They're known to have magical powers, but really what it is they plug into the person who is requiring healing, and they're able to connect to the healing ability of the plants and the rocks and the soil and all of that, and know what to put together for whom. They are really energy and vibrational doctors. Very, very, very powerful. Nebula is astronomically, you can read about them, so I'm not going to go into that. Earth crystals. Crystals are really, chemically, it's a composition of certain chemicals coming together that concentrates a particular form of energy. But really what a crystal is they are living beings that carry certain types of wisdom. So different crystals have got different qualities and different energies because of the way in which they are programmed to hold on to certain energies, which is how they work. So for example, amethyst immediately removes any negative vibrations that might be there. Shungite as an earth crystal removes pollutants, not necessarily negative energies. Amethyst does that. Ruby, on the other hand, including garnet is also from the ruby family, but ruby and garnet basically bring stillness. So they literally dissolve, diffuse, release anything that prevents you from a state of stillness. So that's what happens. Okay, it's a massive study. And you can program crystals. They were programmed very much. They were programmed by, NASA and other intelligence forces. They were used as a way of transmitting information in the past until the silicon chips became more prevalent, at which point all the crystals, and there are some amazing crystals that were the repository of the US government, were released into 5 or 10 different crystal families. They are the ones I get my crystals from. So it is recognized. It's a very recognized quality that crystals have. Yes.
Yeah, during meditation, many times you have said there is a brightest crystal in the earth core.
Yes.
And we also have it in our cells. So, is it something to do with conscious, or is it something to do with energy, or diamond word you have used?
Yeah, I actually see it as a very brilliant diamond. I'm going to see if it is written about in public forums. I know it is talked about in these ascension circles. There is a group that is really about supporting people at the highest level of ascension. They certainly talk about exactly what I see. So there is this thing that is there at the core of the molten part of the earth, which is as bright as a diamond. And the brilliance is beyond the spectrum that even a diamond shares with all of us. So it has a whole variety of energies that support us. So we can have separate discussion about that. I don't think it's very relevant for everyone, but many of these other things, I answered them in the way I did because, remember, whatever question is asked by anyone, the fact that it is being asked in your field, it is serving you in some way, and receive the vibration of the answer that I'm giving you, because it will nurture you, even if it doesn't all make sense. So thank you, Meenaji.
Next question is from Sarah.
Okay. Yes, Sarah.
Okay. Well, Asmaji covered about presencing your presence. That was my first question. I just wanted to clarify, when we presence our presence, so we're not doing a lay of the land.
Sometimes you will want to, when you're starting out, just so that you can actually, your mind knows that you're safe and you're not going crazy here. That little voice in your head can shut up. It shuts up very easily when you do a lay of the land. So that's really just a strategy that I use to shut off that little voice in our head. It's that little voice that is saying, what little voice is she talking about? That one.
Okay. And the presencing our presence has two levels. One when we're with others and one when we're with ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that.
One of the things,
second,
Sarah, since you brought it up again, there's a reason. So, like people are talking about go for walks in the forest and stuff, and it's very nurturing and nourishing. So when you are presencing your presence and you go for a walk, you actually receive, you open your cells up to receive. So when you walk in the forest or you are with a pet, you're basically in an environment where everything that's in the environment is connected to its truth. You receive the power of connecting to your truth. Otherwise that receptors are sort of blocked and you don't get that full benefit that is available to us.
So is that why? That's interesting, because as you know, I spent the whole pandemic going back and forth between home and 35th Street near the UN and up to Betsy's on 79th in order to be in the park. So I would say I spent most of my time during the pandemic in Central Park.
Yes.
I know the trees now. I mean, I know all of our trees and their personalities. And so was that what I was doing, is just to keep presencing my presence automatically?
You were, and you were receiving. And I know that you experienced some pretty phenomenal light phenomenons. Right?
Yes,
which even captured on your photographs. Doesn't happen
the sunspots.
Until you are really presencing your presence. You start seeing these magical lights that sometimes others capture in their photographs of us, or you capture yourself, which you did.
Actually, that was fascinating, just to bring it up, because I know Vineet is on the call. Vineet and I did not know each other when Raj died, before Raj, when Sanjaya was alive in Mexico, and then when he died. And when he died, I saw Vineet's profile somehow, and he had as his main photo, cover photo, the sunspots that I saw in Central Park during the Lionsgate portal. And then we connected right away. And there was some reason for us to connect. There were many reasons, I think, for us to connect, but it was through those sunspots that I had the experience in Central Park that I knew exactly what his photo was about. And he's the only other photo of sunspots I've ever seen before. Isn't that exciting? So I can't wait till we meet in India. We're already family. And I think we channel like Raj together. But to keep this project, so I have two questions more. One is about a date with our soul, which I attempted to do this morning when I was lying before I was waking up fully conscious, is having a date with my soul. And it was really weird because I had a continuation of this very strange, kind of violent but caring dream where there was one person, I don't know, representing maybe narcos, but anyway, around vegetables and a dog. It was so bizarre. And that continued into the date with my soul because it was like interfering. So I don't know what was going on there. So there's that question. The other question, which may be interesting for others on the call, is, as you know, I've had, even before I met Raj in London, before I met Raj in Mexico, this really strong pull to both India and Mexico. And we know that I have a strong foundation of 30 years of Mexico and Europe, but not India actually being in India. And now that I'm in Mexico, I am having this incredibly strong pull to India, but I'm here in Mexico and I haven't been setting up the meetings in Mexico to discuss harvesting lives. And so I don't know what's going on there. And so I'm going to start setting up the meetings here in Mexico because I'm here for another couple of weeks.
The question is?
So I don't know what the question is, like why this strong pull between India and Mexico, and why am I in Mexico and feeling this like urge to get to India?
Okay, so first question about the date with the soul. Yeah, I mean, you were on a date with the soul, with your soul.
Oh, okay.
Now here, our soul has gone through a whole variety of experiences, and remember, a soul takes one human birth, and this. I'm not saying it takes one human form. It takes one human birth. Okay, and that human birth can go through a whole series of human forms. And sometimes, when you go on a date and you really love that person and you are really ready to share everything, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, sometimes the date has that kind of sharing. But you will feel it. I mean, like literally, if you were going on a date, how would you prepare for it? You prepare yourself that way.
So you prepare yourself to be your best.
Yeah, prepare yourself to be on a date with your soul.
So was I on a date? I'm feeling like I was on a date with my soul even before I asked for it with this dream. I don't have no idea about this dream.
You were. So it is a continuum. And the reality is we are with our soul. It is in our human form, and we can have a date night. Just like you may be in a relationship for many, many years, and you introduce the pizzazz of a date night, and it spruces up romance in a relationship. You do the same thing here.
So there's not necessarily a message or anything.
There often is, but don't get overly serious. If you went on a date and you were like, okay, what's the message this guy has to give me? It'll become too intense for that guy. He'll probably shut up and walk away.
Okay. Got it.
Mexico, India, a very quick response. It is Mexico, India, and there are 2 stations in between. And the UK is one of those stations, and New York is London, and New York is another. And that is your trajectory. That's your playground. Okay.
So what am I meant?
That doesn't mean that you don't finish your game in Mexico before you jump into another into the playground in India. You go, you play in Mexico, you play in India, you play in London, and you play in New York.
Okay.
That's what it is.
And I'm getting like,
play the game, get to the finish, play the game, and you'll keep doing this too.
This is it, right? I get it, that this is really it. And I'm not hearing, like I used to channel Norman.
Sarah, I want to go to another question. I think
okay.
I've given you what you require for today.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you. I'll bring Sushant in just to get a male voice, and then we'll go to Gail after that. Come on in, Sushant.
Thank you. I have a few questions. You can choose to answer some of them or a few of them. One, I wanted to understand the significance of dreams and the state of mind that you wake up in the morning with. I do wake up sometimes feeling completely like perfect, and sometimes there is this, affected by the dream or whatever that is there for the day to unfold in front of me. So wanted to understand that. Second, wanted to understand if soul is like endless, then when is it ever born and when does it ever die or finish? And the third one is, what are exactly soulmates?
Okay. So let's talk about dreams first. Your question, you asked a question, but that's not really your question. I'm going to talk about dreams, and then I'm going to ask you whether you have a question about dreams, right? So dreams basically is depending on how awake you are when you are awake, right? The way I define awakeness is if you are presencing your presence as you are awake, right? And then when you go to sleep, you literally go to sleep with, like you've completed your day and you're going to go to sleep. And the sleep becomes a journey of leaping you forward towards what you intend to occur in your life. In which case, your dreams are a way in which your subconscious level programming is brought to your conscious awareness. But let's say you were not awake in the way of presencing your presence through the day. So there were various things that were like unfinished and stuff, and then off you go to sleep. Now the leap forward, it's not very clear. The pathway is not very clear. It's not very clear where you want to go. So the dreams can cause disturbance that occur. So they are basically, a dream is getting some of your subconscious programming into your conscious awareness.
And in the first case,
Right?
they're supportive in nature in the sense that they're supporting you because it's very clear. Second case, they're confusing in nature because you were confused at the time.
You weren't fully, awake. So I always say, when you're awake, be awake. And the way you be awake is presencing your presence.
So dream is a mind thing?
A dream is not a mind thing. No.
Is it a thought thing?
It is. It's not a thought thing, because look what I'm saying. It actually brings what is in your subconscious programming into your conscious awareness. It's not a mind or thought thing. It's an energetic vibrational realignment is what happens. So there is a particular methodology, Sushant, called lucid dreaming, where literally all that they do is they train you how to dream. And through your dreams, you can build multi-billion-dollar corporations. Literally, you can, come up with a solution for, some disease that everybody's been waiting for. You literally use your dreams to do that. Dream occurs when you sleep, and a sleep is a leap forward. A leap forward to where? The secret to that lies in how you are awake. We'll play with that a little bit. Well, we'll play with that a lot. Because it's quite amazing to experience this leap forward as we sleep. And sometimes you don't even remember, you dreamt a lot, but you don't remember it at all. You wake up and it's like, wow, so much, but you can't recollect it. Other times it feels like something that has really shook you up from inside. And sometimes it's devastating, sometimes it's utterly confusing. But the main thing to know is they do play a part in subconscious programming being brought into your conscious awareness. And wouldn't it be nice to know what it is?
Okay.
So the next question was about, well, the one I want to answer is the soul, if it's limitless and it's indestructible, when did it begin, and, where is it going and what's going to happen to it? Is there ever an end, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The study of the soul is a very deep study. I'm really going to give a very short answer here, but we are doing some deep work. So has been a quest of yours from the time we began our deep work. So we will go deeper into it. So what we use as soul really is that speck of light, which is a light that is generously shared by the creator. It's the creator's own light.
Yeah.
And that is what is limitless. That tiny little dot of light does not require any form whatsoever. It just continues. It never goes away. It never dies. It's just there. And it can choose to express itself in different forms. And we are talking to each other because our souls are expressing itself in our human form. That is what is happening here. And when our state of life shifts, the human form remains, it just doesn't have the spark of the soul. So we know that this interaction that is engaging because of the speck of light, which is the light of the creator, that is getting me to create this communication and getting you to create your communication, and we are co-creating. And when a human form doesn't exist, the soul carries on. It leaves and it carries on. The human form becomes just like a chair or a table or whatever. It has a different form than a table, but the spark of the soul is not there. It continues, Sushant. As far as I see, I don't see an end. It can at some point go merge with the creator, but you can go merge with the creator now if you want to, and come back to this human form because you want to stay connected to it. It's quite infinitely flexible, the soul. And then your last question was?
Soulmates?
Soulmates, yes. Soulmates are literally soulmates, which is basically you've decided to play together. You're as soul beings, you've decided to play together. I call them, you have soul agreements, and with some you're going to play together. Soulmates come in a variety of forms. People often mistake it just as a romantic thing. And yes, there is a romantic soulmate if you've chosen to have a soul agreement like that. And there are other soulmates, like the work that we are doing together, we chose to be soulmates for this purpose. Your children, they are your soulmates because you chose to play together in the roles that you have. So that's a key thing to remember, that soulmates are those mates that you have chosen to play together in this lifetime. We don't always meet all our soulmates because sometimes certain agreements are made based on certain circumstances. So we may not meet all the soulmates that we've made agreements with, but depending on our choices, remember, how this life turns out by having a series of crossroad type, like T-junction type milestones, where you have to make the choice. And depending on what choice you make, those soulmates start coming in your field. You have a sense, if you were to look back, you have a sense that some people, that the first time you met them, you felt that there was something more that you were going to do with this person. It's there. You may not act on it, but it's there. And then you find that a few years later, you come back to the same person. And then, they start playing an important role in your life.
Yeah.
So that's how you know that there is some soul agreements that you've made. I have a whole body of work on loneliness because that really is the big disease as opposed to stress. And the way to address the loneliness factor is through an understanding of soulmates. Because a lot of the time we go into this loneliness situation and get disconnected. And we start becoming alone, and we are never alone. Really, we have so many soulmates, we just don't choose not to be open to recognize them. We'll have another session on that at some point.
Thank you.
Okay, Gail.
Hi, I'm so happy that you talked about dreams. This is not my question. I just wanted to acknowledge because I've been having some very strange dreams, especially this morning, and I remembered it, and it's all about being rejected, not being wanted, and I'm like, oh my God, that's, it has happened in my life where I've been with popular people, but I'm not the popular one, where I'm not the one that people take pictures of, so this all came to a head this morning, and now you're giving me the reason, like this is my subconscious, and I definitely have to change that because Well, we know why. So, okay, couple of things. One very simple thing I know you can tell me right away is when we meditate, because I've never asked you this, when we meditate and you say draw the circle to scan, you know, you say you go from the like the top of your head or to the front of your nose to the back of your head. I'm thinking it's this way and it's going this way. It's not this way and then going down. Wait, let me think how I've done it. I think I started out that way. Okay, I'm glad I asked you. So it's this way. All right. All right. Good to know. Glad I finally asked you. So yesterday, I'm going through a dual life right now. I'm going through that crossroad. It's horrible. I'm being honest. It's really horrible. On one hand, I have some, really great new friends and wealthy people, friends, whatever. They have beautiful apartments, all this stuff. In the meantime, my landlord, I hate to say it, but it's true. He's psychotic, and I don't like to use that word easily, but I've known him for 33 years. About a month ago, I said, can I give, why don't I, or 2 months ago, I said, would it be okay if I gave partial payments? She said, well, yes, I told you that. You should do that because blah, 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 blah. She goes, the girl that works him is a little nutty too. I said, okay, so I started bringing partial payments, which has been helpful and making me feel hopeful that, I'll be okay. So yesterday I went there and I brought him the end of May, to be honest. And all of a sudden she says to me, Philip won't accept partial checks anymore. I said, wait a minute, you just told me. She goes, it's his prerogative. He could do whatever he wants. She's just nasty. Whereas the young man that that actually manages the whole of it, he came out because I love him.
So the question, Gail, underpinning all of this?
I'm having a horrible time in the sense that I put myself on Fiverr. I have Gigi the Giraffe website. I have all these, things that I'm putting myself on, and I'm not getting any reaction. But however, what ended up happening this weekend was extraordinary. And yes, there's two extraordinary. I ended up being invited to go to the most relevant, important, Grammy-winning producer's studio to vocal coach my student, one of my students who I really think is going to be the next R&B sensation. And I'm not saying like, oh, she's beautiful, she's talented, she's just extraordinary. And I've had the privilege of being her vocal coach. So that was incredible. I mean, I could not have gone any higher. Okay. Supposedly, I will be hired to write over tracks, with some other artists. So far, this is all in the air, all in the air. And then yesterday, I did do something that was very good. I put up pictures of me and this girl in the studio. I put up pictures of my student Haley singing in my home. Apparently, pictures do speak 1,000 words, because all of a sudden, in the midst of all this chaos, I was crying after the landlord thing. Somebody called me and, said, I saw your pictures, I saw your whole thing, and I want to hire you, but it'll be at the end of September, and I'd like to take 2 lessons a week, and the money, and it was the most amount of money that I ever put per lesson. So I'm just really I'm a little confused, because on one hand, nothing. And on the other hand, it could be, obviously, wow, if I just get one shot, to write the songs or whatever, I'm good. I'll be great. So right now and I'm going on, and it's funny you should talk about a date. I'm actually going on a date after Beyond Meditation, which is why I'm dressed up and I don't have my makeup on yet. So my question to you is, I'm going through this dual life,
okay.
Where socially it's been great. I see that there's things in the horizon, and I don't want to get too attached to them, because I tend to get attached and then it doesn't happen. So I'm like, what do I do? Just be positive, move forward, be hopeful, be optimistic. What am I doing? That's my
Well, the most important thing is, don't brainwash yourself to think something that isn't. Okay. So, right, you have the landlord experience, which is different than what you expected, and it throws you off. It's like a curve, and it doesn't have to become a curveball, right?
It threw me off my rhythm. It threw me off my flow. It threw me off
Yes.
everything.
Now remember, the fact is, this is where you really discern fact from meaning.
Okay.
So what threw you off was whatever it is that you made it mean. That, oh my God, it's like the old times again, right? And all that happened is she said he's not going to accept partial payments anymore. Fine, you have to manage it and come up with another approach. You know, it's something that requires to be managed. That's all that happened. What also happened was at the same time, you know, or in that same the same rhythm of Gail, if you just stay with the facts, Gail, there you were recording in one of the most amazing studios owned by, you know, someone that is revered by their community and beyond. And voila, an idea comes. You're going to take photographs and post them.
Well, I didn't
You're
mention him. I didn't mention his studio because I think that's sacred, you know.
I understand, but you mentioned her. That's okay. That's a part of that opening that took place. These are all facts, right? And right. And another fact is someone saw that photograph and approached you. Okay. Now, when you're very focused on fact, and you see which is the fact that is literally onwards and upwards, and it's escalating so fast, are these things that really are a reflection of your rhythm. If you allow that, which is a bit of a shock, to become a curveball, what becomes a curveball is the meaning that you gave that fact, that your landlord changed their mind.
Well, the thing that went right into my head, you know, Sergeant Major fear. How am I going to come up with the money? I owe him a few months' rent, and right now I have nothing coming in. What am I going to do? Do I just,
you know, you've done stuff you've acted on it before, and you will act again. You know, the bottom line is the rhythm of Gail does not have to be taken over by a meaning you gave something that occurred. Stay in the fact land, and it is in the fact land that you ask the question, how much better can it get? The quickest and the most powerful and the most impactful way of diffusing meaning related reaction is acknowledgement. I feel this way. This is how it's affecting me. You know, keep going. You know, the fear has come in, not as a sergeant major, but as something else. Right. I'm, you know, and what's positive about that is it's opened the doorway to sergeant major fear to appear, who's pretty powerful. You know, and then you get to a point of acknowledgement where you can say, okay, I unconditionally accept what is. Bring on Sergeant Major fear, and voila, start acknowledging the facts of this other amazing stuff, which is beyond your wildest dreams, that is also occurring.
Right, that is beyond it was definitely beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah, so you know what the reality is.
But I was
a pie, you know, and you were to then slice it up, where you have the curveball incidents and you have beyond your wildest dream incidents, and you know, incidents that make you smile and incidents that are like, okay, neutral. The pie is going to be quite different to what it was when you began your journey with me.
But I was not, I have to be honest, I did it out of love and out of the optimism that I will be a part of this team. I did not get paid.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
I felt like it was a win-win situation. I got to meet this person. I got to see his whole, you know, the way he's producing, because I'm learning how to produce, and I got to ask him questions. I'm being treated like family. So that to me was very important.
You know, when you are in the profession that you are in, you get paid in reputation, brand equity, and money. All three are important.
Okay.
Only getting money, not getting any brand equity, you know, and not getting, you know, the access means you just have to work so hard, because money is the only way in which you're moving forward. So what's happening now is you've added brand equity and very perfectly matched brand connections, which is further enriching your brand equity. So your reputation.
Yeah, this is perfect. I mean,
Right?
you know, this is my wheelhouse, the R&B, jazz, pop stuff. That's totally my wheelhouse, and that's what I'm attracting. Every single one of my students.
So always remember, the way you earn in your profession, you require a reputation, you require to build your brand equity, you need to be paid in reputation, brand equity, and money. Some will pay you money, but not give you anything else. And there'll be others who will give you everything else, not necessarily give you the money, but they will be the reason for lots of money to flow to you.
Okay. So I shouldn't worry about the how.
Yeah, never. Allow the how to flow.
Okay.
That way you will be able to look at 10 different ways in which the same result can be achieved. But remember, you're always tracking these three things. I have to be paid. I have to have sufficient brand equity coming in, reputation being enhanced, the reputation treasure trove building up, and the money treasure trove building up.
Brand equity, reputation,
and money.
And money. But what's the difference between brand equity and reputation?
Someone, they do contribute, reputation, brand equity definitely contributes to reputation, but some people will literally pay you in brand equity. Like they will say, we want you to come in and perform in our club, and you then have that association to that brand.
Okay. Well, my picture with Birdland.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now that you're consciously aware of it, track it like that.
Okay, I like that.
Okay.
Thank you. Oof. So it's this way. I think I did it right a few times. I've switched them around, but I'm glad I finally got the answer. That was done.
Great. I'm glad you asked. Just on.
Hi, Mynoo. I have a question about career and purpose and that sort of thing. I've taken on a chief strategy officer role with this lady named Allie. I've got a coaching client right now that's in the hemp space, so I'm leveraging that background. And I've I'd say over like this last winter and spring, I put together a business model for what I would consider like a just on body of work to take out to the world. And it's just really interesting that by the time I put that together, I almost like lost interest in doing it, at least in the short term. I have been hyper focused this year on full spectrum well-being and operating from a place of being centered. And in a lot of ways, I feel like this time of not birthing my own thing is giving me more freedom to, balance out and build out these other aspects of life. I'm just, my question is, as I often phrase it, like, what's showing up around this and what reflections do you have?
And so what's showing up as I see it around what you've shared is, full spectrum well-being is programmed at a cellular level in you. All right. You will never take your foot off that gas, if you like, right? It's just not happen. It'll never happen. So very rarely do I say that. I would say that pulse is like your heartbeat. It's your heartbeat is full spectrum. That's happening. The piece that you are to put your finger on, the pulse that you are to put your finger on is the just on body of work being actually implemented by your clients and the organizations that you're working with. Not you implementing it. It was important for you to do the work that you did, you lost interest in it because that's not for you to implement. It's really for you to connect all the dots and have all that system and structure in place. So now what the pulse that you're going to keep your finger on is your clients implementing that body of work.
Fabulous. Yeah, I love it.
What I see.
Feels like putting some of my supplemental energy into packaging and publishing that thinking, so that there is a, so that effect happens.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you're also in Boulder for chunks of time. Boulder is very rich in nature spirits. So, presencing your presence, it is actually the richest concentration of nature spirits in Boulder. Okay, so presencing your presence as you walk around in this magical place, you will keep receiving more and more. That's why I say, your pulse is now implementation of your body of work by your clients. That's where the energy goes.
Love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. I want to end with a specific question that was brought up by someone who's been a part of Ask Me Anything, and she's filming right now in Tangiers for a feature film. And her question was, she's saying that she's got everything, everything is like humming along, and everything really feels exactly where it needs to be. And yet it's as if she's lost the connection to enjoying and rejoicing in it ongoingly. She has that pleasure, but there's a part of her that keeps wanting to go into, what if this goes away? And she's become very aware of what I say, which is what you give energy to, you get more of. But her question was really, how does she actually enjoy when everything is going well, given so much that has gone well for her in the past and has just suddenly collapsed. She's had such stop-starts in life that now she's had a trajectory over an expanse of time that seems to be getting better and better, but she's not there enjoying it in the way that she wanted to, the way she would love to. So my response to that question really lies in presencing yourself to the experience that you're having in the moment. And if you allow yourself to notice that you're going away from it, but just really presence yourself to the moment, and you start bringing that focus to the moment, you actually start living that extraordinary life where expecting and accepting miracles become your norm. So with somebody like her, it has to be very real. It has to be very tangible. It has to be something that she feels at a sensory level. So with her, and it serves everyone, that's why I'm sharing it. With her, my response is, so when you're looking at in the moment, in the now, is there something that's pleasing to the eyes? Is there something that feels really good to hear? Is there something that your taste buds get excited about? Is there a fragrance that's around? So like really with her, I'm getting her to engage her senses, her sensory feelings. For others, you may not need to go into that level of elaboration. You just step into the moment and you start looking at, in this moment, what is going on that is making my heart sing? And when you start living moment by moment, there's a particular point, that switch that was flicked to a point where there was this constant underlying worry that things may just go wrong. At a certain point, when you live this moment by moment acknowledgement of what's making your heart sing, that switch flicks. And that's where the multiplier effect sets in. And joy, ease, grace becomes omnipresent in all areas of your life. For me, sure, you can meditate your way, you can do positive incantation. It just doesn't last until you get your mind along every step of the way. So with that having been said, I would like to complete our Ask Me Anything session today. There are a few questions that have been asked. Date with the soul. Are you talking with your mind? You're actually using your conscious awareness, Ashaji. You're engaging your mind and your thoughts. So there's conscious awareness being brought into the date with the soul. Soul contracts is a very deep topic, Joanne Lee. So we will talk about that another time. Just know that we do make soul agreements, and there are certain soul contracts with certain soulmates. And once that contract is complete, it is best, it is complete, and it's best to move forward. There are other times where we hang in there, even though the contract is complete, and the relationship just starts to go from bad to worse. So yes, there are soul agreements, and there are certain soul contracts that we have where we do have a contract that with each other to support each other in certain ways. And it's important where there is a contract to be vigilant about when that contract comes to a completion. So take from it what serves you, Joanne Lee. Let me know if that makes sense.
Mynoo, there are 2 more questions. So I think I should note it down.
Which are they?
Could you explain soul contracts?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And the next one is how we bring balance of meditation of life and work life.
The balance of life and work life. So Vineet, yes, I will answer this question. It's one of my favorites, and it was one that I struggled with big time because to me, I was always striving for home life, work life balance until I went through my spiritual awakenings and realized that anything that you attempt to balance, you are out of balance. So you're like on a seesaw trying to balance, you're out of balance. It's about finding harmony within yourself. So then I made a choice that all days work, all days play. I had no idea, Vineet, how that was going to occur because it did not occur that way before. But what I did there was I chose to live my life where I was living an extraordinary life where all aspects of my life coexist. And I made a choice that it was going to happen with ease, joy, and grace. Again, I did not know how to do it at all, but I dropped the how and just made a conscious choice. And that in itself immediately harmonized work and personal life. I made choices to step away from certain types of work, not knowing whether I would get work of the kind that I wanted. And it did happen because my vibrational match was matching the kind of work that was actually going to help me live an extraordinary life. But whilst I remained in fear, hanging on to the kind of work that I didn't really enjoy, then that fear kept multiplying. So the key thing is, don't try to balance anything. Don't try, period. Make a conscious choice of what is it that you wish to do in your life that will really bring you alive. And hold that intention and consciously make choices. And that could be one step at a time until you start taking baby steps to move in that direction. And the harmony between work and home life happens automatically.
Madam, thank you.
Trying to get that balance keeps you exhausted and keeps you trying. You make that choice, you choose a direction and keep moving forward, it occurs automatically. Nothing to balance, remember. That's the key thing.
Thank you for the explanation. I really wanted to ask that how do we practice meditation life and the work life? Sometimes it happens that meditation coincides with our work. So in
Yes.
that direction, I wanted the answer, madam.
Yes. And what I would say is, um, I can't hear you very well. Your voice is a bit faint, and if
I'm saying that how
let's
do
just
we
bring you.
balance the meditation schedule or meditation life with our work life?
Yes.
Sometimes it happens that meditation is coinciding with our work
Hmm.
life or work schedule. In that way, we
Mhm.
cannot meditate regularly. Then how you suggest to solve
Yes.
this insight?
Yes, that's a very, very, very good question. Um, I'll share with you how I do it for myself. Um, I have a practice and I have a daily practice. And sometimes my day begins very early in terms of interacting with people outside, right? Like work life begins really early in the morning. Like tomorrow, it'll begin very early in the morning. But because I have a daily practice and I have chosen for that to be the case, I wake up earlier and I do it. Before, I used to be very attached to that my daily practice is 2.5 hours. Sometimes that 2.5 hours means I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is not very feasible. So now I've detached myself from how long it needs to be. I have just chosen that I begin my morning practice, and this is the intention that I want to achieve from my morning practice. And sometimes that takes 20 minutes, sometimes it takes 10 minutes. I allow half an hour for it. Okay. Now, the other piece is I realized that meditation, there is a way in which we are taught to meditate. I wasn't taught to meditate because what I was being taught to meditate, my mind never became still. So I had to then create my own ways of getting that stillness within. So I then discovered that I actually have the same experience that I have from deep meditation sometimes when I'm just walking, or when I'm chopping vegetables, or when I'm cooking. So I realized that actually there is a working meditation, or when I'm actually writing something, or I'm doing a body of work, when I'm very immersed in it, that also is meditative. So I stopped being attached to this is the form that I'm going to use. I hold the intention, that this is the intention I have from this walk that I'm about to get into, or from this travel that I'm about to have, or a long flight I'm about to have. This is the intention, which is an intention that gets fulfilled when I'm in deep meditation and I experience it. That's the key thing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for asking. It is such an important practical question that many of us who start loving meditation experience. So thank you. So we are getting ready for Beyond Meditation in a moment. I declare Ask Me Anything session complete for today. And I will see all of you next week. If you wish to stay on for Beyond Meditation, you go ahead. I'm going to turn my video off for 6 minutes and then come back on. I'll stop this recording and get myself a drink of water and stuff. You can do the same. You're welcome to stay and you don't have to. If you wish to leave, you can go ahead and leave. Thank you very much for being here.